Namaskar. Welcome to this another episode of Dekho Apna Desh webinar. Uh, you must be wondering why there is sudden change in the host today. So where is Rupinder ma'am? So as you people know that travel has started and people have started traveling all over the country. The numbers are small, but they are increasing. These are positive signs. And everybody is actually looking for that vacation, break from the routine, and just to go and experience a holiday. So with that, the ministry has also started working on it, and we have started our series of domestic road shows. So the first roadshow was held in Chhattisgarh, Raipur yesterday, which was inaugurated by the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Prahlad Singh Patel ji. And in the same series, we are having a roadshow in Goa today, where we have brought the tour operators from Maharashtra, from Goa, and we are basically, it's kind of a business meeting basically to provide support to the trade and to inspire people to travel more and in that way contribute to the economy, have good time, but of course keeping in mind all the COVID protocol. So people, as I've told, that the travel have started, people are traveling, and people are looking for destinations which are little different. Of course, the Rajasthan is there, Goa is there, everything is there, but people looking for destinations which are closer to nature, something that you can go and you can walk in the nature, you can just enjoy the beauty, and somewhere where you also challenge yourself. Okay, these are the few new things that I can do. So, keeping that in mind, we have selected today's topic, which is about trekking in India. India, with its diversity, with its different topography, is a trekker's paradise. So we have high Himalayas, we have low hills, mountains, we have riverbeds, we have seaside islands, and everywhere there exists a trekking opportunities from the treks which are for the people with a lot of experience, even for trek which are for the beginners. So the person who's taking us on this trekking journey is a very known face in the tourism fraternity. And who will be introducing him today? It's not me. I hand it over to Mr. Uttang Joshi, who will be introducing our panelist for today, our speaker for today. Uttang is Assistant Director General in Ministry of Tourism. Uttang, over to you. Uttang? Okay, so I think there is some technical glitch. We can't hear Uttang. So our panelist, our speaker for today is Mr. Vinayak Kaul, and he's the director of Snowline Expedition. He's quite a well-known name in tourism fraternity. So Vinayak is basically, he did his education is from Symbiosis Pune, and he was into all this MBA and all this education, and then finally the call of duty or whatever, he landed in this tourism fraternity, and now he's leading this organization. He's also a leading part of association of adventure tour operators. So with this small introduction, I'll hand it over to Vinayak. The web stage is all yours. Thank you.
So hang on, Bharti. I must intervene here and take everybody
Yes.
to Goa with me, right? Thanks for introducing everyone to this lovely topic. And Vinay, thank you so much for being with us today. I have to show all of you that I am in this absolutely beautiful part of India, which cannot be missed by anyone. So please see, it's very sunny. I don't know what you can see, but it is so amazing to see people traveling, to see them. But then don't forget to wear your mask. It's important to do that. There we go. So viewers, enjoy the trekking and enjoy our beautiful, incredible India. Vinayak, please go ahead.
Thank you, Rupinder ma'am. Thanks. Thank you, Bharti ma'am, for your generous introduction. I hope I'm audible and my video is good enough. Bharti ma'am, if you can confirm.
Yes, you are audible and your video is clear.
And
Vinayak?
is that PPT's screen visible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good to go then. Thanks. Uh, I would like to thank Ministry of Tourism for asking me to speak on this platform about trekking and adventure tourism in India. I'm honored. Welcome and good morning, friends. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for your time. Let me begin with a little disclaimer, which I always do when I'm presenting adventure. That with the kind of size of our country and all what we have on offer here, it's nearly impossible to brief and sum up on the topic of trekking in India within just 40 or 50 odd minutes. It needs a lot more than that, let me tell you. There are so many possible trekking destinations in India that each can take about hours. And then if we pick up all itineraries related to them, it may take days. So I'm going to try my best to do justice by touching upon some of the topics in the available time we have, along with speaking about a few other subjects related to adventure travel. If I start with the current scenario, the COVID times, we all are aware how COVID has changed our lives for now and possibly for a very long time. How people plan their travel, on what they spend, with whom they travel, how long they would travel, etc. etc. In the middle of all this, adventure tourism gives a lot of hope. Terms like physical distancing, avoiding crowded places, respecting your body have been common in discussions in the last few months. It's no brainer to see how adventure tourism can give answers to many of our worries of travel. The current times have reinstated that adventure and activity holidays are the way forward. I would say my industry colleague Tej, we spoke at length about adventure tourism in our country a few weeks back here at the webinar series of Dekho Apna Desh. He presented an overview with a lot of facts, figures, be it about potential of our natural heritage, adventure products, our market size, various initiatives, etc. So I'm not going to repeat them. No matter how much I would also like to touch upon some of those topics, but to avoid repetition, I will just stick to the trekking vertical of adventure tourism in India. Let me open up. Let me show you a quick video, which would probably just get the excitement rolling. Adventure travel is defined as a trip that includes at least two of the following elements: physical activity, natural environment, cultural immersion, uh, offering a wide range of adventure experiences. As I just mentioned, India's diverse terrain and cultural richness makes it a great destination. I hope you all enjoyed the video. So I'm just quickly giving you an overview of all the verticals of 30 odd verticals of adventure travel, largely divided in land-based activities, air-based activities, water-based activities. I'm sure you can see them on your screens. They have been discussed, like I mentioned, a couple of weeks back in detail. As an overview, I would say so. So I'm just moving on to the land-based activities, and out of which we're talking about trekking today. So let me first try and break some myths. There are many, the list is endless, as I've written in the presentation. I'll just talk about a few. So trekking in India is possible only in Himalaya. I have heard from many people, Indians, I would say. I am here to say it very clearly that trekking is possible in other states as well. And short treks are possible in states like Kerala, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh. Yes, they're not as hardcore as the ones in mountains. And yes, the Himalayan states have been the playground for trekking for decades, but it is indeed possible in quite a few other states as well. Myth two, I would say you can go for a trek only in summers. So let me clarify, you can go for a trek all year round, especially with the size of our country and including monsoon season. Uh, India is a destination for all seasons. Adventure tourism is the answer. We all have been discussing it time and again at different platforms and even today. One can go for treks almost all year long, even in monsoon times, like I mentioned, like places like in Maharashtra. If it's raining very heavily, that's a different scenario. But even if the whole season is monsoon season, people go for short treks out there, and it's beautiful. Myth number three, which is just one of many, as I said, only foreigners go for treks and expeditions in India. I've spoken to many people, and they say, uh, I have not seen many people. I'm talking about the people who are not going up in the mountains. For sure, who are going up in the mountains, they know there are Indian trekkers around. Like I mentioned, in the last decade, Indian trekkers have surpassed foreigners in many regions. And though I would say we need to learn, we need to travel more responsibly, which I'm going to touch upon later. Uh, Let me move on to my next slide. So I write over here: promote responsibly, operate responsibly, buy responsibly, travel responsibly, and I write all this with a purpose, because of a purpose. Normally, people take this topic almost at the end of their presentations, but I felt that I should speak about it in the beginning itself, because I believe this topic is so important that it should not be left for at the end always. I also feel that without understanding the importance of our responsibility related to travel, understanding the products is not going to be the same. Promote responsibly, when I say that, I say it is our responsibility as service providers, as tour operators, as hotels, all service providers, I mean to say, to promote a destination responsibly, a product responsibly. We should not promise each and everything the guest is asking. We should agree to only what is really responsibly doable. Operate responsibly, I say we should not compromise with safety standards at any cost. We should try to keep the guest informed as much as in detail as possible. That's the responsibility which the service providers need to take. And what is your responsibility as a traveler? Buy responsibly, travel with responsible service providers, be it a tour operator, a hotel, a homestay, transport provider, guide anyone, because for sure, even if you're organizing your trip on your own, you do need some services on the ground. That should be your first step, to choose wisely. A responsible service provider will also sensitize you how to be more sensitive about nature and be careful while you're traveling, especially for the areas where the ecosystem is very fragile. But let me just put up a very quick story. I have been part of a Ministry of Tourism's Adopt a Heritage project, and and uh, we had gone to certain trails to do the cleaning up drive, and we brought back 2100 kgs of garbage, and they were not there all these years before. They have been taken up by travelers and trekkers like us. So we need to be very responsible. Trekking story of India is what this whole presentation is about. Trekking story is uh, how very difficult to explain. Like earlier, it was all about uh, people moving on from their villages, going to the main towns, and that's what trekking was for them. Slowly, it became a passion for explorers, and now like a holiday option for many people. And so there are many types of treks. There are soft treks, hard treks, winter treks, monsoon treks, homestays, lodges. Soft treks are ones wherein you don't need a lot of preparation. You do need to be decently fit enough. but not a lot of preparation is what you need. Hard treks is something which you really need to prepare. If you don't prepare yourself well, you might injure yourself. You might will not be able to enjoy. You might be a little burden on your colleagues. Winter treks are the ones like the treks named as Chada Trek, Frozen River Trek in Ladakh, which typically do in winters. Like I was mentioning earlier, the trekkings in India are possible uh, m- uh, uh, almost the whole year, like I was mentioning. Monsoon treks, again, typically done in monsoons. Homestay lodges treks is somewhere you don't need to plan a lot in advance. You can simply go up in the wilderness. There will be homestays. There will be uh, people out there, like for example, this typically happens where the access to the starting point of the trekking is easier, and you are not traveling in very remote parts of the country where you're traveling where there are villages. So people, for their basic incomes, they open homestays and lodges, and it's a different experience of trekking out there, apart from the harder and the softer ones which I mentioned earlier, wherein you do need to where we're not sure that you will get something to stay. So you have to carry along your own food and your tents, and or if it's a large group of you do not plan to carry all by yourself, you need to have a service provider. You need to get everything sorted before, like people needs to take your stuff, your kitchen equipment, your sleeping tents, your food, your rationing, everything. So huge variety of treks which are on offer in India. And with trekkings, I would also like to reiterate that trekking takes you to the remotest parts of the country. You can do cycling, you can do jeep safaris, and you can do other air activities. But with the deep penetration of routes which are possible through trekking and also mountaineering are not possible through other activities. So you can see such places of your country which probably no one else has seen. Trekking makes you bond with your fellow travelers when you're out in mountains, and that holds true for all the adventure activities. When you're out in mountains, you gel, you are dependent on each other, you have to work as a team, you bond, friendships evolve, your love for nature takes a main stage. You start appreciating the nature. I mean, we all know how much we have appreciated the nature during the lockdown days. So it connects you with the nature, which is very important. So I can go on and on and on about how trekking can be really enlightening for you all, and I really urge for everybody that just pick up your bag, do some research, or organize or get it organized with someone you trust, a responsible tour operator, travel organizer, and go for it. Yes, I would be covering how you should be traveling responsibly, especially in the COVID times. We'll come to that. Let me discuss some of the very popular destinations and popular trekkings. Talking about Ladakh, which has been in the limelight for a long time, which has been popular with the trekkers for the longest possible time, along with other Himalayan states. So some of the popular treks in Ladakh are Markha Valley Trek. It's very accessible from the main town Leh, and you can tweak the track. That's the beauty of it. You can There are different entry and exit points from where you can start and finish the track. So typically you don't need to enter a valley and do all the 8, 10, 12 days. You can do it for 2 days, you can do it for 4 days, you can do it for 8 days as well. A very popular mile trek. And then we have Chada Trek, which means chadar as in Hindi, the word chadar. So it's a frozen river trek. The Zanskar River in Ladakh, you can see a picture also out there. Typically freezes in the winters. In olden times, people from the Zanskar Valley used to travel to main town Leh via this. Like I was mentioning earlier, the treks people used to take was typically to travel in the absence of vehicles. So it has been a popular one since some years, and I would compliment the excuse me, local administration in Ladakh and the trade bodies who have been trying to regulate the way this trek has been operating since the last couple of years. And this is what I was explaining, that we have to be very sensitive when you are traveling to very fragile ecosystems. Zanskar Valley Trek is another very popular one, a little longer, little harder. However, since a few years, it has been cut short at certain corners because of uh, roads being built well. Growth has its own price. People do need the roads also. People do need the growth as well. But sometimes you do lose pristine treks for that. Shamwali Trek is a very easy mile trek. You just need to be decently fit enough to do that. Uh, you can again do it for 2 days, 4 days. 6 days would be too much, but something like 4 days is good enough. Best time to visit Ladakh is anytime between June to October. Winters can be very chilly, so yes, February is the time for Chada Trek, when the temperatures can go -20s and -25, 30 as well on any regular day. And let me move on to the next slide. Jammu and Kashmir again has been a star since decades. Popular treks. So let me also tell you, like, while I was preparing, mentioning just a few treks for places like Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand has been very difficult. So with all due respect to all the treks which are there in these areas, I have just chosen some. They are in no order of preference or being too good or just not too good or not popular. But I had to just pick some. So these are here. Amanaji Trek is a pilgrimage trek, but I can tell you there are a lot of leisure travelers, also a lot of people. We handle a lot of foreign travelers who do go for this trek. They do like the religious bit of it, but apart from that, they love the landscape, and has been very popular since decades. Great Lakes Trek and the Amanaji Trek starts from Belgaum area of Jammu and Kashmir. Great Lakes Trek is a high altitude lakes trek. Uh, Starts from area called Sikar near Sonamarg and covers lakes like Vishansar, Gadsar, and lot many. Kolai Glacier Trek is again a very popular with the local youth as well as with the travelers for shorter durations. Starts from Pahalgam and further on moving to Aru and Lidawat. So again a moderate one, but a very popular one, and beautiful pristine areas of the beautiful valley of Kashmir which you see. Again, best time to visit would be May to June because it starts to rain later, and then it will be September to October are good again to visit. Uh, Himachal Pradesh again one of the very hot spots of trekking in India. Pin Parvati Trek is a very popular one. Starts from Rumsu area, covers Khir Ganga, and very popular with the younger generation in India. Uh, 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 Parangla is one of my favorites. It's a hard one. You need to prepare for it. You just can't pick up your bag and go for this trek. You will be in trouble in terms of your health. You will struggle. Parangla is a pass which is about 5,500 meters high, which you cross in this trek. Starts from Kaza in Himachal Pradesh, finishes in Samruri, which is a high altitude lake, and Samruri is in Ladakh. The lake is at an altitude of 4,500 meters. I'm sure most of you would be knowing Pangong Lake. So Samruri is decently similar to that, just in a little different area than Pangong. Pangong got its fame from the movie. However, Samruri has been very popular with trekkers, especially foreigners, since decades. And there's a village called Korzok over there, so it adds to the flavor. Uh, Talking about Triun Trek, it's a short trek starting from McLeodganj, a place near McLeodganj. You don't start from the main town itself. And again, very popular for weekend getaways and younger generation. You don't need to, you need to be fit enough, like I've been saying, but it does not need huge amount of training. and a very busy trek. And again, we need to travel responsibly. So best time to visit again will be, because it is monsoon in Himachal Pradesh as well in July-August period. So best time would be May to June, and then September to October. Later on, yes, you can go in winters as well in some parts of Himachal Pradesh for trekkings, but they are of different level then. Uttarakhand, again, a very popular destination, source of Ganges, Gomukh, as the place is called. That is where Mother Ganges originates, and further on moves on to Haridwar and other places. Uh, is a short trek. It's also a pilgrimage trek. People coming for the Char Dham Yatra in India of Gangotri, Yamunotri, Kedarnath, and Badrinath. When they come to Gangotri, they often trek to Gomukh as well. They at times do it in a day and come back, which is too strenuous. I never recommend that. It's better to stay there. So very popular with leisure travelers as well adventure travelers, and you do see a good amount of flora and fauna in that area. Brahmatal Trek is not a very hard one. You start from Lohajang area. This trek again can be tweaked from 2 days to 4 days. Beautiful, pristine green meadows, full of landscape, full of beautiful views of the whole valley. Again, a very popular one for weekends, and has been off and on very busy, and people have been saying that we need to be more careful in those areas. And Valley of Flowers, I think it's a star already. This trek, it's a World Heritage Site, parts of it, and starts from Govindgarh, Joshimath area. And again, you can tweak it for longer durations and shorter ones as well. uh, Very popular with foreigners as well and Indians. Milam Glacier Trek starts from Munsiari, and it's a little tougher one, I would say. You do need a bit of training for that, and and it's a little longer trek as well, for ranging from 4 to 8 days. You can even go on for 10 days, and depending on weather conditions, if you go a little late, October, you might get stuck. Not stuck, but your plans can be a little disrupted because of snowfall, which happens at times with the changing weather cycle. Best time to visit all these places, and I am saying best time to visit, you can indeed visit at other times as well, is again May to June. Then we have monsoon out there, is and then September to October. Moving on to Sikkim, beautiful, one of my favorites again. However, little less popular in terms of footfall, I would say, and probably more connectivity needed in that area for people to go there. Ladakh has that advantage from places like Delhi and other big cities. It has got many flights, unlike Sikkim. Gochular Trek, very popular, starts from Yuksum. I would call it a moderate trek, and decently busy. Zongri is a hard one, covering places like Soka, starting from Sachin, and you need to be really a person of strong mental strength. It takes tests your patience. There are many times you have to climb up and get down on a single day. So I have done that trek quite a few times, and I know it is a hard one. Singalila is again a favorite with many people, and uh, uh, yes, many more treks possible in Sikkim, but these ones are the popular ones. Best time to visit would be March to May. It starts to rain there sometimes earlier, and then October to December are good times. Post November are well, October. It depends. The weather cycle is changing decently well nowadays. Quickly, sometimes November can be quite chilly. It all depends how snow is faring those days. And but otherwise, October is good time to visit Sikkim's these treks and some of the other treks as well. And Arunachal is yes, probably people would have not heard of these areas, and that is why I was mentioning earlier that trekkings are possible almost everywhere, if not everywhere, then in many states in India. There's a trek called Alo to Pasighat Trek, and it's decently moderate, not very hard, and uh, probably little less accessible because of less of flights, and that's why not so popular. If you do a Google search, you will not find it very easily. So they need more connectivity and more promotion, I would say. But beautiful treks. I have done this one myself, and have thoroughly enjoyed. Seven Lakes Trek, Tali Valley Trek, all treks. There are some treks. There are not many options as far as I know. I'm sure locally there will be more, but these are the ones who you can find some information, move on, and find someone to book, and then and organize it for you. Probably best time to visit is May to June again, and then September to October. Monsoon in between sometimes. Parts of northeast, yes, places like Meghalaya do have a lot of monsoon, as we all know. They're very famous for rains. But Arunachal can be good between May to June and September to October. Moving on to Kerala, all the way down south, Munnar Valley Trek is something which I have done. So these are all softer treks, milder treks. Just need to be physically fit and no training required. So a lot of our clients and a lot of people I know, they do it just as part of their longer trip. So they will typically go to Kerala for a leisure trip of including obviously backwaters and Kolam for beaches and other cultural immersions, and then would do a short 4 days, 3 days trek from the Munnar Valley. Munnar is a place which is very popular, and one of the most many other treks start from Munnar in Kerala, and then there is Mala Trek, Wayanad Valley Trek. So there is no particular trek in Wayanad Valley which comes into my mind, but there are trails and treks, and because they have not been so popular, so there are trails and treks which can be trekked upon, and you just need to have your stuff with you, or you need an organizer to do it for you. And beautiful, I would say. Best time to visit would be September to March. I would not recommend these areas in my personal capacity for during the monsoon time. It rains very heavily over there, but September to March onwards is just beautiful, very nice and comfortable. um, I'm speaking from Delhi. Winters are already here. Our friends from Kerala and southern parts of India are still able to enjoy the warmer temperatures. So you can just skip these chills over here and move on to the southern parts of India, Kerala and other places. Talking about Maharashtra, Kalsubai Trek is recently popular with the local fraternity out there, local people out there. It is in the Sayadri mountain range near the Bariwali village. Sea Hunger Fort Trek in Maharashtra is a it can be a day trip, but if you plan and if you are an adventurer, you can probably take up your camping gear and make it a more than a day or couple of days trek. So like I was mentioning, so the hardcore trekkings, if you're looking for, they're up in the mountains. But if you are living somewhere else in India, you don't need to travel, or you don't need to wait. If you can't travel that long, you can satiate your hunger for trekking and adventure travel around you as well. uh, Moving on to Madhya Pradesh, uh, Dubgarh Pachmari Trek is popular. Satpura mountain range is where this is located. Best time to visit would be September to March. Again, because summers can be very hot, and monsoons sometimes are too much over there. And that reminds me, I that same time period goes for Maharashtra as well. You can go there in the monsoon period, like I was mentioning earlier. But if you're looking for comfortable weather, September to March would be better. Moving on next to Karnataka, popular destination, popular trek is Turdian Trek, which is I haven't done this myself. A soft trek, as I know, and best time to visit would be anytime between October to April, and not very popularly, I would say, marketed, but a good one. What I heard from my friends who have done it. Andhra Pradesh, Gandikota Trek, best time to visit would be November to February. And Nilgiris Trek in Tamil Nadu is a beautiful one. I have not done that myself, but we have organized as a company. So we have got some great feedbacks from people. Again, these treks are very short treks, small treks ranging from 1 day to 5 days, possibly. And people do it in combination with their longer leisure trips in those areas. Moving on again to northeast of our beautiful country, Meghalaya, living root bridges are world famous, I would say, and there can be treks which can be organized to see them, and you can stretch it those treks between 2 to 5 days at times. But then you really have to be a nature lover to be in those areas for this long. Otherwise, you can finish them in a couple of days as well. Moving on to Mizoram, Blue Mountain Treks is a popular one over there. Best time to visit would be November to March. And Zuko Valley Trek in Nagaland starts from Dimapur, Konoma area, and is something to look for. Not much travel, so if you are a person who wants to travel something which other people have not seen yet, or you've already seen the other bits which I just explained. So the northeast of India is really something which you should go for. You should research well. Again, like I'm saying, you should contact a service provider, which would probably help you. And you should go for it. Northeast of India really is something which we as Indians need to travel and need to explore more. So these were just a few itineraries, and like I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, with the limited time we have, there is only little which I can cover. I'm open. You can contact me. You can contact Ministry of Tourism. You can write for more information on other treks in India. And let me move on to guidelines and SOPs. I always believe God is in the details, and as important as it is to travel, it is important for a service provider, for your organizer, to be as careful as possible, I would say. Talking about guidelines, if I say, a couple of years back, Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, with support from Ministry of Tourism, launched a booklet, Adventure Tourism Guidelines. Actually, I have that with me. That's this booklet. And so it covers 30 odd verticals, adventure verticals, which I had mentioned earlier. The booklet has been prepared with the help of various adventure experts and covers subjects with a lot of detail in them. You can download it free of cost from the website of Ministry of Tourism and Adventure Association. I can assure you, if a service provider will go through them and follow, the quality of his operations will surely take the next level. If a traveler reads them, he will be well aware about what he should do and not do while taking an adventure activity. uh, I would say, while taking adventure activity, one bad decision can lead to another. Accidents, I would say, and I have always said, are parts of adventure activities. You can't avoid them at times. Uh, Adventure has a bit of inherent risk in it, but there's a difference between an accident and mere carelessness. At times, also, I would say, people have inhibitions of taking up activity holidays in India. I can assure people your adventure travel is very safe in India, matching the international standards. We always have a tendency to compare our quality standards with overseas products, and why not? I would say choose your service provider responsibly. What I would say that regular leisure tours are all right, but adventure is different. Here, it's important to choose your service provider with due diligence. Yes, you indeed can go on your own as well, but then you do need to research. You do need to research very well before you travel and take up any adventure activity. After all, you are not an expert on that activity. You would still need some guidance. You would still need some help. You would still need some equipment when you're doing that adventure activity. So do your research properly. At times, you do get cheap stuff up for sale, but probably we all know that cheap is not always good. cheap surely is not good when it comes to adventure travel. Adding to that, when we're talking in the current COVID times, and let me be very clear, I'm not hinting that adventure travel is expensive. Neither I'm hinting that it is not for everybody. There are many ways to be economical, but not at the cost of cutting corners at the safety aspects. Let me quickly tell you why cheap may not be good for adventure travel. Uh, when you take up an adventure activity, there's a lot of back end preparation. There have to be many checks and balances in place for your safety. The quality of the equipment, the quality of your guide, and all this does cost a bit. And you can yourself imagine how important these aspects are for any activity. Let me talk about COVID protocols. Again, the Adventure Association came up with some protocols which would help the service providers to get answers to many things which they have not been well aware, like I would say how to sanitize the equipment, how to handle the guests in the current times, various do's and don'ts. So it's a document which is really helpful and to the service providers, I would say. And if a traveler goes through the same document, he would be much more informed and alert while traveling around. You can again download these documents, these protocols free of cost from the Adventure Association website. They have been prepared by various experts. A lot of hard work has gone into it. I'll take this opportunity to also assure you all that all responsible adventure service providers uh, who have started their operations are very serious about COVID guidelines. They have been working day and night before they open shop. There are SOPs in place. They are being followed in letter and spirit. So you should be careful, wear the mask, distancing, washing your hands, but leave that inhibition of not traveling around. Yes, elders need to be careful. People with other ailments need to be careful, but overall, you should move on. How to find a responsible and trustworthy service provider? I would say log on to Ministry of Tourism's website or onto the Adventure Association's website. You will find trustworthy people out there. If you browse through Ministry of Tourism's site, and if you're especially looking out for adventure operators, there's a list there for adventure operators. I would recommend most of them. There are other operators as well in different categories. They are good for too for leisure and other holidays. There are transport companies and a lot more. So all responsible people, I would say. If you log on to adventure websites, adventure associations website, there are active members who are pure tour operators. All are very good. There are allied members, which is a mix of hotels, camps, tour operators, again all very very trustworthy. uh, so this was my bit about the guidelines and SOPs, which I personally feel are very very important as promotions. And moving on to the pledge, which we all should take. Let me look at the time. I do have some at hand. So there's so much to explore. I have been saying it always, and probably even 7 lives will not be enough, as we say, as per Hindu religion, that we get 7 lives. Probably 7 lives will also not be enough to see our incredible India, to live and experience each and every offering we have. The diverse terrain and cultural richness we have is unmatched, like I was mentioning earlier. You talk about a holiday, you talk about the type of a holiday, and you have that in India. I feel it's our responsibility towards our country and our people that we must first put India on a priority when we are thinking of a holiday before looking out for other countries. Yes, at times local facilities and infrastructure is not very motivating, but here I quote our Honorable Prime Minister, who on 15th of August last year asked all of us to see at least some place in our country in a year without getting bothered much about the comforts. He had mentioned that once people start traveling, even the places which are lagging on the facilities will improve. I personally take great inspiration from this. Yes, there can be times when you will be traveling with elders or kids, or you for yourself would like to have more comforts. But I guess we can do a mix and match with our holidays and travel to places which really challenge us, along with going on to more comfortable ones. So the Dekho Apna Desh is truly the spirit of what we all should feel for our country. I would say how you all can help post your old travel photographs, post new travel photographs, tag Incredible India, start traveling, like I mentioned earlier, like we like we saw in our presentation in our show earlier. Madam Rupinder Brar is already traveling. I have been following Dekho Apna Desh webinar series, and she has been hosting many of them while traveling around. So that's great inspiration, very motivating, I would say. So just be careful. Do your responsibility of maintaining the social distancing, wearing mask always, wearing the right mask also is important. Having a sanitizer with you at all times when you are out in the outdoors. At home, yes, you should try to avoid sanitizers. You should wash them instead with soap. And you should start traveling, I would say. Dekho Apna Desh is something which we should feel from within, not just as a product, I would say. Also, I would say that remember, travel industry is one of the biggest contributors towards the country's economy, and people related to travel have been the worst hit due to COVID. Things started getting difficult for people in travel industry right from January, February this year when the COVID news started hitting the headlines. And even after when the lockdown is almost over now, people are still finding it difficult. So if you travel, that surely will help them and the country as well, as has been the call from the Honorable Prime Minister, being Atmanirbhar. Yes, we have to help ourselves as always, and if we as our own countrymen will not help others, then who will? Move on, fight COVID with greater strength, help the economy, help your country become stronger. I think this can be one of the motivating factors for you to start traveling and enjoying yourself. Travel does improve your personality. Traveling makes you a different person. Traveling gives you a lot of joy, I would say. And this is all at the moment from my side. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found value in my presentation, and you're looking forward to your next travel. I hope so. That's all from my side. Bharti ma'am, Rupenda ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vinayak, for this lovely, lovely presentation. And yes, as Vinayak has said, that it's time now we should start moving out from our comfort, start traveling, enjoying our beautiful country. But yes, with a sense of responsibility that we have to follow that COVID protocol. We have to, when we are traveling, we not only have to be responsible for ourselves in terms of safety, but also in terms of the people, the local culture. So we have to be careful how to value that and enjoy that, but in the meantime, in a very responsible manner, contribute to the economy. So all that we really, really have to take care. Okay, Vinayak, moving on to what we discussed and what we presented, I have a question. So there are different tracks. The tracks are some for the beginners, and so what should be the level of fitness for the person like a person like us, a city dweller? So what kind? And when you're talking about the hard tracks and which need lot of preparation, what kind of preparation is needed, and where one can go and get, who's the person to help? Like suppose I want to go on a hard track. So what is the duration I need to prepare, and what kind of training?
So thank you for asking this question, and which is very important. It is important because when I travel myself or when I travel with my clients, I see a lot of people really struggling and not able to enjoy. So it's very important. For softer treks, you just need to be physically fit enough. It should not be that you find it difficult for you to simply walk or it's difficult for you to hike up. Just regular fitness levels, which means if you are in city, you can easily climb stairs, you can easily walk for a couple of kilometers or 2-3 kilometers. It will not take a toll on your body. So that is all what you need for softer treks, milder treks. And you can simply book a holiday and go about for that trek. You should be open for some discomforts. Always in the wilderness, you never know, there's always a new experience which you can have. So the fitness levels for softer treks have to be just, you should be good, easily movable person, which should not find it strenuous when you are asked to walk for 2-3 hours in a day. For harder ones, you in there also there are certain categories. For other ones which are like just long treks, you don't need and little tougher on the climate. So there you just need to train before by going for jogging or maintaining a routine before you go on for a holiday. Yes, it sounds a little strange that before holiday also you need to train, but if you want to follow your passion, if you want to travel that extra bit, or if you want to get that adrenaline rush from that hardcore trekking, you do need to give that extra effort. So you just need to train. You can just simply go jogging out or cycling, or if you feel you can go for a gym, which I generally don't uh, suggest much. It's good to be out in the nature, but sometimes people are forced to go to gyms because of, say, weather conditions and things like that. So just train for it. For the technical treks, you do need to get in touch with people who have done that before, or you can already get in touch with a service provider, tour operator, who can guide you. And then there are certain courses which you can do. There are courses for mountaineering which you can do from mountaineering institutes. So if you really want to take that extra mile, you can do those courses, but that's a long one for a holiday probably. But you can get in touch with your service provider or friends and family who have done it, to make you understand the extra nitty gritties of trekking around. You need good equipment, you need good shoes, you need good clothes, and of course you need the right temperament to be open and flexible, to be out there in the mountains. And I'm saying all this because if you have all this, only then you will be able to enjoy what you have booked. Otherwise you will be there, you will be probably just doing it for Facebook or Instagram, taking a picture. You have not enjoyed a bit, came back home, posted it, and just happy. But your soul should feel it, you should enjoy it, which should force you to come back again.
Okay, Vinayak, taking from here, you have trekked all over the country. So, which are some of your favorite tracks that you'll recommend to people? Like for the beginners, I'm again going soft because there are a lot of people who are like moving out after months of sitting at home. So, if you have to pick few, and especially like around the big cities, like I'm in Delhi or somebody from Bombay, so something that people can do over a period of 3, 4 days.
So, first of all, I would say that I've not trekked all across the country. Our country is so big, like I mentioned. You do need a you do need 7 lives or the whole lifetime. Yes, I have trekked a lot. I have trekked majorly in the northern parts of the country, in Ladakh, in Himachal, in Uttarakhand. I have trekked a bit in Kerala, uh, just a little bit in. I've trekked in western part of India also when I was studying over there. And so for softer treks, I would say if you go to Ladakh, you also have to choose what kind of a destination you would like to. If you go to Ladakh, there is Sham Valley Trek, which is very soft, which is very mild, I would say. And the accommodation are homestays, so you can trek for 3 to 4 hours in a day, which do not need any extreme fitness levels or extreme training. And in the end, you can stay in the comforts of a homestay, which will not be as comfortable as a hotel, but it will not be a small tent, and you will have the comforts of people around and interacting with the locals. And that is one trek which comes into my mind immediately. There are a couple of treks in Kashmir also, like not the like the Aru trek. If you do not go all the way to Kolai Glacier, if you just go to Pahalgam and go to Aru Liderwat area for a couple of days, are decently soft. uh, you can go to the source of Ganges treks also, not all the way up to Tapovan and Nandanban. You can just go to Gangotri. From Gangotri, you can go to Gomukh. So it's a mix of religious and adventure trek. It's a soft one. It's a milder trek, I would say. And the treks which are there in Kerala, the one in Munnar Valley, are also not very hard. And the weather gives you the flexibility of going in the winters also, while as the other treks which I have mentioned are mainly during the summers. So that's what something quickly comes into mind. If people are living in the western part of India, there are plenty of softer treks in and around Pune and near Bombay.
Okay. And what about the people traveling with the family? So there are treks that they can do with children also?
Yes, of course, of course. All these checks which I mentioned, you can, of course, children again need to be fit enough that they can walk. Then otherwise, the parents will be burdened by carrying them around. So as long as they can walk, and so you can take them, and there's these homestay treks which I had mentioned earlier in my presentation. So there you have, because all these places where there are homestays, in many places it's motorable road also. So in between, if you feel okay, my children are not feeling well, or they are tired, or I change my mind, you have an option of calling in a car, and moving on to the next destination with the children, and not trekking all the way down there.
Okay. Uh, Second thing is like, I was just thinking.
Hi,
So in
Bharti,
these,
if you allow me, I've just got a question.
yes, yeah, yeah, Utan.
Hi, Binayak. Good morning.
Good morning, Utang ji.
I, one of the young professional from Madhya Pradesh has sent a question for you,
Yes.
and his question is in Hindi, and I'm going to read it. He's saying कि भारत में बहुत सी यात्राएं हैं जो परिक्रमाएं कहलाती हैं या तीर्थ यात्राएं कहलाती हैं, और वह भी ट्रैकिंग से अभिन्न रूप से जुड़ी हुई हैं। इस प्रकार की एक यात्रा है नर्मदा परिक्रमा, और इन यात्राओं को बहुत बार केवल धार्मिक दृष्टिकोण से देखा जाता है। तो एक यंग व्यावसायिक, एक यंग प्रोफेशनल होने के नाते मैं किस तरह से इन यात्राओं का उपयोग ट्रेकिंग को बढ़ावा देने के लिए कर सकता हूं?
उतांग जी, बहुत अच्छा सवाल है ये। आई एम श्योर जिनने ये सवाल किया है उन्होंने मेरी प्रेजेंटेशन पूरी देखी होगी शायद। जब मैं जम्मू कश्मीर की बात कर रहा था, मैंने उसमें अमरनाथ जी ट्रैक भी रखा था, और वो इसीलिए मैंने रखा था कि जो धार्मिक परिक्रमाएं जो हैं देश में, वो भी एक धार्मिक ट्रैक ही है। कश्मीर में लोग अमरनाथ जी के दर्शन करने के लिए वो ट्रैक करते थे, बट वहाँ भी मैंने कहा था कि और भी कई तरह के, सिर्फ धार्मिक आस्थाओं से लोग नहीं जाते वहाँ पे। हमने खुद फॉरेन ट्रेवलर्स के लिए वो ट्रैक ऑर्गेनाइज किया है कई बार। तो सिर्फ धार्मिक आस्था के अलावा भी लोग वहाँ जाते हैं ट्रैकिंग करने के लिए, और व्यवसाय के हिसाब से तो ये तो और भी आसान है शायद इसको प्रमोट करना, कि अगर आप उसको अच्छे से पैकेज करें, उसका धार्मिक आस्था जो है उसको हाईलाइट करें, उसको डिटेल करें, उसके बारे में रिसर्च करें, और साथ ही साथ उसका जो एडवेंचर एस्पेक्ट है कि किस तरह से ये आपको वो एडवेंचर वाला आनंद देगा, तो इनको तो मार्केट करना और भी आसान है, स्पेशली हमारे देश की जनता के लिए, और स्पेशली डिपेंड करता है किस धार्मिक आस्था का वो ट्रैक है। ये तो आज के समय में काफी अच्छा ऑप्शन है प्रमोशन के लिए।
We have another question coming from one of the viewers that how will differentiate between trek and a hiking?
That's a difficult one, I would say, although it looks a very simple question, because it's a question which I have been asked many times. So trekking is when you go for a little longer outing in the mountains. You spend there a couple of nights, or at least more than a night. Hiking is you just go up and do a little walk around. Yes, it can be hard as well. Hiking also can be strenuous depending on your physical activity. But then you come back in the evening or in the afternoon to the comforts of your hotel or your home. So it's typically a day trip, which I would call hiking. That's my personal opinion. Maybe technically something it differs, but trekking, I would say, then you when you really prepare and you really go out in the wilderness for at least a couple of days, more than a couple of days, or more than a day, I would say.
Okay, we have one more question coming from one of the viewer. It's about like Rajasthan is so close and a very popular destination, especially in winters. Are there some trekking options available in Rajasthan too?
There are, but again, I would call them hiking. There are places. There is a place called Mount Abu, and it is the hill station of Rajasthan. If you go there, there are a decent amount of hikes which you can do, but you can do trekkings also. But then the itineraries would really need to be customized, and you can hike from uh, uh, places around Ranakpur also, but not long stretch trekkings. I would call them hikes.
Okay, I think yeah, and now the people talking about. I think there are a lot of suggestions coming from the viewers about trekking in Maharashtra, and I think everybody wants to present their own state.
That is
Okay,
why, Bharti
again,
ma'am, I had mentioned that myth and reality, that people still have that impression that trekkings are possible only up in the Himalayas or up in the 4 5 mountainous areas of the country. While as if you look around and if you plan, you can go around everywhere. Okay, you may not be able to spend 10 nights like you would be able to spend in Uttarakhand or Ladakh up in the mountains, because the mountain range is not so vast. But you can go for trekking for a couple of nights everywhere.
yeah, and I think people also talking about that how this trekking is so much part of Indian culture. Like especially if you see all these yatras, people used to walk for months to go to these temples, and it used to be a yearly affair. So
Of course.
that is very, yeah. So people initial days people used to do this Char Dham all on foot. So they still have those old routes surviving till today.
All
Of
these,
course.
if I talk about monasteries in Ladakh, where now you can drive all the way, they all used to be, you had to trek half a day to 1 day to reach to those places. All these other religious places, all these sages or all these temples were in earlier times built at I mean, at a higher pedestal or secluded places for people to go there and meditate and have that peace. And so eventually you had to trek to those places.
Yeah. So I think with this, Vinayak, this brings us to the end of this very informative webinar. And people like we're getting such positive reviews and a lot of queries from which I'm sorry, because of shortage of time, we can't take all the queries. But yes, this has opened a new Pandora for you. There are so many places, people. Now time to get up, get ready, start moving, go and explore, be close to the nature, and next week, we'll be meeting at the same time, same place, but on a very different topic. So today we talked about places where we can go and experience and where we can challenge ourselves and experience the beautiful nature. Next time, we are going to talk about the cuisine that India offers, the kind of variety, 365 days, there's something new for you to experience. So with this, we end today's webinar. Thank you. Thank you, Vinayak, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Bye-bye.
everybody's time.
Thank you.